Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's astrologer Eric Rosen here for Viking Rising Astrology for your monthly horoscope for your zodiac sign. This is for your sun and your rising sign, if you know it. We're going to be taking a look at what to expect for you in December. This is especially going to pertain to a lot of the elements going on as we're going to be still in some full moon energy in Gemini, and also some major challenges coming up with some Sagittarius and Pisces energy, which can definitely deal with way more of the spiritual side and, creating a miracle shift in perception, miracle mindset, seeing that we can actually be really highly intuitive beings and have our own way of our vision of the way that we see things, of seeing, of sight, of connecting deeper to that intuition. So we're just going to dive right in here. We're going to start off with Aries. So Aries, this is if your sun is Aries or if your rising is Aries. This pertains to you either way. So Aries, I definitely think this is a time to expand on, maybe getting out of some of like the duality of like what you think is like right and wrong in terms of like what's spiritual or not spiritual. This is definitely getting out of like judgment with other people. Aries, I know they tend to, be strong-willed, kind of, very assertive, but this is being okay during this time of being a little bit more neutral and showing restraint, I would say, especially around the middle of the month. And that any frustrations that maybe sometimes you want to vent outwardly, especially with other people or groups of people, could actually be more reflective of your own internal blockages, of frustrations, of delays with your own goals, your own ambitions, especially in your career, or even if a truer sense of purpose. So I think the miracle mindset, the miracle shift is actually going to be in a sense of softening and any judgment that you catch yourself with other people. This is about being more compassionate, more empathetic. It doesn't mean overextend yourself to go help. It's simply just a moment to create a perspective shift. And I think God, the divine, is actually available there to show you more of a broader scope of your life and where you can go, and actually getting out of some of the ruts or challenges and exaltation in your career, your goals, by seeing people is in more of a neutral divine sense as other souls on this planet, figuring things out. So moving on to Taurus sun, Taurus rising. Well, Taurus, I definitely think this is a great time to be sociable. This is about getting out to groups of people. This is about definitely sharing your groups, your groups, sharing your gifts in groups, and actually getting into power circles, getting into spaces where it doesn't necessarily have to be a shared value system where they like the same things, although that really helps. But at least, places where people are willing to make things happen. There's power dynamics, there's business opportunities, there's networking opportunities. I think the key is going to be to definitely not overgive. You don't want to, you want to have energetic boundaries for yourself and how much you're giving in terms of like sharing and kind of like marketing yourself and your value in the way that you're connecting with groups of people and even friendships for any endeavor that you have, especially that is financial related or just like a fun creative element to it. It's like, do not give too much of yourself away. It's being okay with connecting and disconnecting. It's knowing how to connect in your expression and knowing when to disconnect and not give too much away. So I think the miracle shift is going to be going, oh, actually, I can give a little bit less and more potency in terms of what it is that you're expressing about yourself when you're around these groups of people, and letting that speak volumes about you by being rooted and embodied and grounded in the vibration of what it is that you're expressing, so people can feel the essence of you instead of feeling like you have to like over explain or overemphasize certain points, and you start creating the value as if it's outside of you, like in something that you do, something you're doing in business or a modality or a project, and actually stand rooted in it. This is kind of reminds me of like elevator speech stuff about what you do, or if you're helping someone else, can be really good. It's like drop little nuggets of insight and then show that restraint's going to be a big thing coming up in the theme this month for all signs pretty much. And that's actually going to bode well. You get more by actually putting less effort in. It's more about the quality effort, Taurus. So moving on to Gemini sun, Gemini rising. This is definitely an opportunity to show up differently in your career. This is about how you communicate, when you're in public, when you're around groups of people. This is about being extremely open, Gemini. And I don't mean being open to negative energies or negative forms of influence. I mean, just like really opening up your mind and just like really surrendering to spirit and saying, I'm open, like show me different approaches to things on how to communicate, how to connect with people. I think that the miracle is going to come in like any struggles that you've had about receiving, based upon your efforts, especially financial, money. This is also going to deal very much with you needing to tap into the Kundalini energy. I don't know if need is so much the word. I think you're doing fine, Gemini, but it's more of like anything that you're wanting in your life that's like wants to take you further. You want more stimulation because you like that. The stimulus is going to come more from that sacral. It's going to come more from that Kundalini energy for breaking walls down. And so the miracle, I think, is actually seeing, that in terms of how you're open and communicate publicly and you're being exposed is getting uncomfortable with that expression coming more from within, speaking more from a deeper, aligned, intuitive space and not needing your mind so much to categorize and like weigh things out in terms of how you express things. I think that's where the miracle shifts. The mindset can come in as like, oh, actually, you don't have to weigh out. You don't have to figure so much out in your head. You can actually just stay open, speak from a very strong intuitive space, connecting with that Kundalini energy. Highly recommend going deeper, learning about Kundalini if you're not familiar, and then putting that energy out. The miracle comes in terms of how much you're receiving, your power, money, just being much more appreciated for the efforts that you put in. So moving on to Cancer Sun, Cancer risings. This is where your daily life can get exciting, Cancer. There's no doubt about it. And it's not that I think that you've been in a rut. I think it's just more about getting out of the mundane and seeing like there's way more possibilities like for you. This is your daily schedule, your daily work life, just the things that you're doing. I think maybe you're a little comfortable and that's okay, like that's part of being a Cancer. But it's like seeing how can you go to the gray area, before you get to your hard no of where you've pushed yourself too far in terms of your exertion of whether it's like your adrenals, it's like you don't want to go into adrenaline and like try to push and commit to some warrior's mindset of like, I got to do this. I've got to create possibilities in my life. I've got to do more and go harder. And, there's a guy, his name's David Goggins. He's a very big proponent of, maximizing your effort and your intensity. And it's like, oh, you don't need to go there, Cancer. Just creating the exciting daily possibilities and seeing further out is actually more about being in the fluidity of the present moment for you. It's connecting with the breath. It's seeing that those possibilities are going to come very much, not so much in going out and pushing and doing stuff or research. It's going to be way more in just those intuitive moments. It's like find space, create space with your breath. Like see that there are some monotonous activities or even stressful activities that you really don't need to hold your breath, or you don't need to be so intense, or you don't need to worry about end gaming and finishing a task that you're doing, and find that surrender. That's going to be your miracle shifts. That's going to be where little epiphanies can drop in about little adjustments you can make in your reality for a less stressful life and to go in just a better direction simply by, dare I say, the proverb metaphor of, death by 1,000 paper cuts. This is where it's just little pivots, little shifts, find where there's maybe a little bit of control or breath holding. That's where it's going to be where those miracles come in present moment. So moving on to Leo Sun, Leo risings. Leos, you regal mofos, you. I love you, Leos. I really do. I think this is a time for you where you've got a lot going on, Leo. I really would encourage concentrating more in the area of love, romance, children if you have them, or if there's children that you love and an extended family or something like that, more so than like friendships and like social groups and like needing to be out in the world in some social way. Like this is like getting away from like social elite energy and like thinking you've got to rub elbows with the right people, and like putting your efforts, putting your focus of your power spiritually, where you're vibrating out in that quantum field of possibility, like a spiritual humbleness, to put it in what really matters, which is love. It's joy, it's innocence, it's the love and joy for yourself reflected in your, especially your romantic partners, connections with children. So this can get into a little bit of the family area, but not so much worrying about what family means or family unit, but more so those like one-on-one connections where you can feel an emotional high point, whereas like you don't want to go into the monotony of like social groups and stuff like that, thinking that's going to be the thing that changes things. It doesn't mean you don't go be social and you disconnect from the world. It just means that the miracle shift, the mindset is definitely going to be seeing that your sight changes, how you see your daily work, your daily life, your daily grind, your work stress is going to shift based upon the emotional fulfillment you're putting in these more positive areas. Whereas like if you go out and do the social thing, you might see that actually you're just adding more to your plate and more excitement and more than you can actually realistically like get done. And then this is where broken promises can start to come in. You can be excited about your daily life transforming, but it's like you actually have to come to an intuitive place of using that intuition, that emotional fulfillment of what really matters to make sure you're not taking too much on, because your mind, your brain is not going to be able to tell you. It's impossible to quantify and measure. You don't want to go into a space of thinking that you're preparing too much, over preparing for some shit hitting the fan moment, because ultimately, even if there was those moments, either with a personal life thing or more of a world thing or a business thing or something like that, the thing that's going to get you through when that stress is peaking out is going to be searching for that love and connection within yourself and your closest loved ones. That's going to get you through it. It's not going to be the people that you reached out to that you're rubbing elbows with to help bail you out, because you might be surprised, Leo, at who's there for you and not there for you. So focus on the ones that you love and that matter the most. Virgo sun, Virgo rising. Well, Virgo, I really like this one for you because although I don't think anything really new is meant to come in this month, this is more of a relax and rest phase for you. It's almost like you're going through sort of a growth spurt where you don't have to analyze or think so much when it comes to being out in the world public. Go for like simple things, like the simple fun. Your career, it's like don't overthink it, don't overdo it. Anything like public, don't feel like you've got to rack your brain with just some achievement oriented thing. You can just like let life kind of show you like what the current goal is, and there's more of a trust of a flow of an alignment, that you don't have to go create your big system of like how you're going to get your things done. It's way easier than that. It's like follow what feels good, follow the fun. Virgo, trust me, this is going to replenish you and you need it. This is more so the fulfillment on the inside, not so much creating the new on the outside, as I kind of mentioned. This is meant to get the miracle is getting a youthful pep in your step. It's about bringing back that youthful element to where you don't feel so tired, you don't feel so stressed, you don't feel like you're trying to figure things out. You're going to need this going forward these next few months, and getting that pep in your step. That is a way of seeing like, whoa, like actually life doesn't have to be so stressful. I can take it a little bit easier. Life is supporting you, Virgo. I think that's the biggest thing to really pay attention to this week. So pretty simple horoscope. I like it, Virgo. It's just, another reminder, another sign of like not overdoing it. Moving on to those signs in the fall season, Libra sun, Libra rising. Is definitely dealing with your outlook, Libra, this month. It's good to look at things with a sense of rosiness. I would not discard that, but it's still with fact checking. It's being optimistic, an optimistic realist, basically. It's like stay optimistic about the daily efforts that you're putting in, because you don't want to it would be not a good idea to like just have the rosiness and not make any changes, because you're kind of going through a foundational shift, Libra. I'll be completely honest, your whole way of connecting in your personal life, your personal reality, that's all very much been shifting. It's been shifting since 2008, but there's some intensity here towards the end of this cycle. And so this is definitely about just putting in the work, putting in the effort. If there's any sign when it comes to creating a shift in perception, creating a miracle mindset, you're the sign that's meant to create your own miracles. You're creating ordinary miracles by trusting that the divine's got the safety net for you. You're good there. You don't have to worry. Like even if something fell down, it's not going to fall very far. It's not going to hurt. It's not like jumping off a ledge that your feet and ankles couldn't handle the fall down. And so that way you can just trust and putting in your daily efforts, you're creating those ordinary miracles where you can actually witness your progress, your daily progress, and the epiphanies I think that can come, especially towards the end of the month, potentially Libra, is like seeing like, whoa, like when I do the little things, the little efforts, and maybe not trying to romanticize so much the story or like, miracle or life getting better, and you just do the things and feel optimistic, you look back and go, whoa, like this is a miracle because you're changing, Libra. This is a big cycle. You've still got another year of you're changing, and you're going to need partnerships to help you in that regard. So pay attention to where, when in doubt too, you can be supported and talk with others. So moving on to Scorpio Sun, Scorpio rising. This is about your manifesting power, Scorpio. You are incredibly freaking powerful manifestors, but you need to put that power on check of where you're directing it. Where's that Kundalini energy going? Are there energetic leaks? This is getting deep into your psychology of making sure that power of that magnetism, that sexual energy isn't just like leaking and going into spaces. And it doesn't even have to be, an actual like thing of like intimacy with someone that's like a no-no or something. This is even paying attention to your thoughts and your psychology, not to get dualistic of like right and wrong. It's just more, you've got the potency, you've got it, Scorpio, this month. And so it's like, I would say this is way more about dedicating it to a romantic situation, dedicating it to love. If you're either wanting to call that in or you're already in a partnership, if not, it's like double down on self-love, Scorpio. This is about seeing your value is bigger than just wasting your precious life force energy towards distractions and, moments, especially of like not feeling worthy, and to go into a better space, with seeing that, you can actually attract the things that you want. It reminds me of, I was a fan of especially earlier Marvel movies, and there's one where Thor has to make a new weapon and he has to hold a star open, and it's the potency of a star forging a new weapon for him. It's like you kind of have that power, Scorpio. It's like forge the new focus, forge the banks of the river just through that sacral Kundalini expression of like, where do you want to go, and empty out the tank on that and start getting better sleep, start feeling better about life, just because you're going very strongly in the direction that you want to. And I would pay attention to communicate your boundaries, especially with time frames, stuff like that, your work, your schedule, the freedom, the miracle mindset. The side that I think that you can see is the mental freedom, Scorpio, of getting out of your patterns of like putting the Kundalini energy out too far, or not even having physical boundaries with how much effort you're putting into your work situations or to time. This is way more about working smarter, not harder, for sure, Scorpio. And there's mental freedom in that, because you're not dealing so much with the reflections in your mind of the repercussions of where's that energy going, especially if it's negative. That's the miracle. It's getting out of those patterns, and I think you're going to feel better, especially your daily life, your health, all the good stuff. So moving on to Sag, we got Sag Sun, Sag Rising, Sagittarius. All eyes on you, Sag. This is Sagittarius season. And so I want you give a lot, Scorpio. I think a lot are Scorpio, Sag. You give a lot just because, this full moon was highlighting, I think, that energy of how much love and care you put into your relationships, but I think there's an emotional balancing moment to be had here, and to focus more on yourself and kind of relax on how much you're giving in your relationships and your family. You don't need to give so much to your partnerships during this time. Total permission, Sag. This is about a shift in manifesting based upon your worth of doing more with less. You know, like this is taking a stand in your value. And this isn't like you need to be the guru or it needs to be on a mental level. It's like, no, like this is just, you're embodying it in your central nervous system. It's a relaxation moment of like going into it and trusting like, okay, like I see it. I've gotten enough insight. I have enough awareness, and you're, hopefully seeing it, Sag. If not, I'm encouraging you to see it. There is evidence in the universe. There are spiritual messages, intuitive messages that you don't have to push and give so much to other people, your partnerships, or even things, even if it's like a business or financial situation, dealing with people and feeling like how much you got to give or show up. It's like show up more for yourself, like take care of yourself. And I would say define, like what's going to be more of a experiment of a more permanent expression of how you can actually become more available to do bigger things by putting boundaries on how much you're giving and like increasing your value of your time and your efforts, whether that's financial, like in a business or project, or even just your time in general. So miracle mindset's definitely going to be this, the shift in perception is going to be, oh wait, you mean I can do less and still receive my worth and value from the universe? It's like, yes. And then on top of that, you're going to have to figure out, what are you going to do with yourself in Sagittarius? And so that's the cool thing, is like the excitement of getting out of your comfort zone a little bit to see the bigger things that you can do when you're not having to put out so much. So when it comes to Aquarius Sun, Aquarius rising, honestly, it's funny, the last two signs, it's like Aquarius, like you're the favorite horoscope of the month, because it's all about really just being yourself. It's doing things that you're good at anyway, investing in people, partnerships, connections, very communicative, community oriented, wants to help others, serve, think outside the box. It's like, yes, do those things. Could be a little bit tricky in the romantic department, but that's maybe kind of par for the course for Aquarius, liking to connect, but then disconnect, maybe not fully connecting into the emotions in general. But I think it is an opportunity for Aquarius to really connect in a space that you can connect deeper to the divine. You can surrender to God. I think that's the miracle. The miracle is seeing like, oh, you can surrender some of the weight, I would say, especially in your career or prominence or like trying to achieve goals. And it's just like, just go have fun, just be yourself, connect with people, like know thyself, Aquarius. This is about a connection directly with you and God and you and the divine. And I think the miracle mindset is like, the more that you connect with God and the divine, he's going to be like, hey, have you been paying attention? I have a plan for you, Aquarius. Like Pluto coming into Aquarius for the next 20 years, especially starting November 2024. It's like, we're going to need you, Aquarius. You have no idea how much you're going to be needed. So don't worry so much about how things are looking, especially on the outside or career or goal situation, and just practice being who you are this month and just creating a rhythm with that so that the record never really stops spinning or wobbling and like your uncertainty. It's like Aquarius, you're actually you're good with uncertainty actually. It's just you gotta kind of remind yourself of that, and just because the rest of the world or people around you might sometimes like wobble and you feel like you've got to match your frequency or your rhythm, the song that you're playing in life, to them to accommodate them. It's like, no, Aquarius, that's not how things are done. You can't sour the milk. You can't poison the water that you're pouring out as the water bearer to others. You got to keep your vibe, your frequency high. It's all about just being you. That miracle is definitely going to come from that. I think the divine being like, hey, there's a longer term plan for you. Don't freak out or try to be something that you're not, Aquarius. And so, as I was kind of alluding to, the interesting thing with the last sign, which is Pisces, last but not least, Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising. I think you've probably got the most difficult horoscope, to be honest, Pisces. I'm even calling this a little bit on the danger zone side of like, make sure you're really paying attention to your career, you know, how you're showing up. If you're expanding in your career, make sure that, you know, it makes sense that you've got the reserves for the long term, you know, making sure that your self-care is on point. It's definitely about getting out of your comfort zone. I think doing more, but it's still, you know, making sure that it actually makes sense in a space where you can go into a reality where you actually truly are expanding and you're not just like doing more. I think that's a really important component. I think, you know, one of your number one blocks deals very much with like being out in the world, you know, making sure you're not reclusing or pulling back from people too much. And that if you're disconnecting, it's because there is a deep call within you to go into a hermit mode in certain moments. But I think if you can sometimes relax any craziness in the mind, the subconscious Pisces, I think that you can find that you can actually find those hermit connection moments with spirit and going within in the moment when you're fully surrendered and all into it. And then you can actually bounce back and be out in the world quicker. Definitely, you know, it's not a time to be too comfortable or snooze, Pisces, especially again, what's going on with the career, what's going on with your goals, how are you putting yourself out in the world. I think that the miracle mindset, the shifting is definitely going to be around like the wake up of seeing like there's more of you available. There's more of you to give to the world. There's more of you to go out and do more things that make you feel celebratory and getting out of that comfort zone that are much bigger and even, you know, outside the box. And so I think the cool thing I do like about this, you know, Pisces, is that I think God has miracles waiting for you on deck. You know, it's like Santa, the elves, like they want to give you some really amazing, maybe sometimes obnoxious gifts. It could be in the form of people, connections, business, whatever it is. You know, we need people, any sign to get things done. But you've got to be able to put yourself out there. You've got to be able to put yourself outside the box of your comfort zone and start doing bigger things and put yourself in a position publicly out in the world to actually receive the dividends that can come to you. And the sooner you do it, the more interest you'll accumulate at a soul level that can become this renewal energy that can really bring you forward and into fruition really over the next 2 to 3 years too, Pisces. So that's it. That's all 12 signs of Viking Rising Astrology. If you want to get your own private astrology reading or a couples reading, if you're in a partnership, or if you want to do a business reading or even an event chart reading, there's natal charts for founding a business, when you're starting a project, you know, when someone's going to get married or someone wants to have a kid. There's all types of different ways to approach astrology. You can click that link down below. You can book your session. It will take you to my calendar. You select your favorite time. They'll collect all your information. And of course, you know, if you're not local to the St. Louis area and we cannot do in person, I do my astrology readings over Zoom. You will receive a recording afterwards. It tends to be a lot of insight, which is great that you receive the recording, because then you can spend some time taking notes and digesting it, especially after the reading. And of course, I'll leave an option to check out my other list of services down below as well. But I've really enjoyed this. I hope you all find peace, find solace this month, you know, just regardless of like what passage that you're moving through in life. This is a really exciting